Damn, what is up with the squad? It's such favorite non-team with Uncle Tendencies in the building. Y'all know what it is. Poly Sports Tea Time. We finna bring the heat. What's up, Lil?
What's going on?
Oh man, we're gonna have this conversation. We've been having. I'm loving that we're doing this series and having these conversations. Perfect timing for this stuff right now. As we get ready to watch this CBA either come together or fall apart. And then we getting ready to watch NIL drop. Like, I hope y'all stay tuned in and locked in on the series that we bringing. But y'all know what it is. Cess Talk Sports, BY's Poly Sports. Today's episode, a new business model. Black women's fight for agency and equity. Agency and equity. Topics of today. Agency and equity, y'all. This is the last chapter of our WNBA CBA Reckoning series. So if you skipped episodes 1 through 6, you missing the playbook, the history, and the receipts. But this is the biggest labor fight Black women have ever faced in this country. And if we lose more than the game. But, you know, it's a trip wheel. This is also the most leverage that we've had in the labor fight. This the biggest, but it's the most leverage. Chicago Cheetah was good. Jeremy was happening. Groovy was happening. Yep, like and share, y'all. Like and share. They both right there. 5 of y'all. Just 5 of y'all. Push share and then push share it in the chat so you know you pushed it up. What's up on all platforms? If you haven't stopped by on YouTube, pop by on YouTube. Give us a like and a share, subscribe. Help us push this algorithm out. Milka Ryder, what's good? So, why the hell are Black WNBA players still shut out of rooms where the power moves is made? I'm getting right to it, Lil. I ain't got time to be messing around with them today, okay? Why in the hell are Black women still left out of the rooms where the power moves get made? Here's where we taking it today. Call it what it is. Agency and equity, they ain't perks. They survival tools. They act like that's something you can give away on your, like you should check that off on your HR benefits. Agency, equity, no, that should come just with you being hired or being included. We're gonna rip the cover off the system, locking Black women out of decision making rooms. We're gonna build some new lanes, ownership stakes, our own media, NIL money, unrivaled level moves. Put names on the board. The women breaking through and the ones blocking progress. Drag the missed shots to keep us from owning our power and drop the blueprint to fix the game for the next generation and beyond. And y'all already know. I'm not having this conversation alone. I had to bring in my co-host, my political tag team partner, the one who breathes the fire and the facts every single time. Political Lil. Let's get to it.
All right. Thanks, Auntie Cess. You know, when we talk about agency and equity, those aren't just buzzwords. Agency is the power to control your own career, your own image, and your own money. And then equity is not just a slice of the pie. It's like owning the whole bakery. And right now, it's too many women in the WNBA are still renters in a house they helped build. They can light up the scoreboard, move that merchandise, drive ratings. But when it comes to signing a deal, shaping the policies, or deciding on the future of the league, they're left standing outside the boardroom door. And this is not by accident. The structure of professional sports and the corporate media machine around it, it was never designed for Black women to hold any kind of power. And the league might put out a slogan on the court, celebrating diversity in the press release or highlighting a player for marketing purposes. But the minute that same player demands ownership, demands policy change, or demands some kind of transparency in the money, them doors start closing, locks behind them. And if you think those doors are closed because the league isn't ready, you're missing the truth. They closed because the people in power want it to stay exactly the way it is. So as we move into the discussion, I want us to keep coming back to the same question. Why are Black women players not in the room where the decisions are made? Because until that changes, until Black women can write the contracts, approve the budgets, and decide the media narratives, the fight for true agency and equity is never going to be won. And today we're going to dig into how we can possibly get there.
I mean, let me be plain. If you're not on the table, you're probably on the menu. That's it. If you ain't on the table, if you're not at the table, they probably serving you up. Black women been served up too many times, though, Lil.
Mm-hmm.
Time and time again. So you start questioning, why are Black WNBA players not in every room where decisions are made? But let's set the stage, because we're in the post-CBA negotiations, right? They negotiating or not. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's at a standstill or what's going on. They didn't like the original offer. But the rest of those negotiations are looming, and the air it's tension. It's thick with tension. Rising NIL deals, perfect unrivaled Media landscape shifted fast. The other leagues gonna be popping up. Black women dominate the game on the court. MVPs, setting records, pulling in fans. But real money moves, ownership stakes, long-term wealth building, they're not in the room. Matter of fact, they're not even in the building. They don't even know that it's a meeting going on. You hear me? They don't even know it's a meeting going on. And it's not just a WNBA problem. It's a systemic problem across sports, entertainment, pretty much across every industry. And it's not just about equal pay or endorsement. So I want people to get that. I want to establish that early. We're not just talking about equal pay and endorsements. Agency, the power to make decisions about your own future. It was interesting. Brittany Sykes was like, "You need to make a decision for yourself, right? Like just, what a liberating feeling that is. Like when I made it for me, right? When you have the power to make decisions about your own future, man, that's an empowerment that you shouldn't have to wonder about. I mean, it's like you choose who you go apply to work for, right? So if you want to own something, if you want to be a part of something, especially a part of something that you're building, that you're pouring into, you should be in the room with no question. But Leo, I got to ask you this. Do you think the league is locking Black women out of decision-making rooms on purpose, or is it the result of a system that's been built to keep them out from the start?
It's really like, look, it's a combination of both, really. The system was really built, with the theory of exclusion. And then you got these intentional gatekeepers, in every industry. And they lay it all the way to the top. And that's why when the league uses Black women to market the game, like on billboards and commercial or highlight reels, those same women are shut out when it's time to sit down and negotiate them TV rights, make hiring decisions, or decide how the revenue is going to be split. So the people in power, they don't just want to win, they want to keep control. And, you look at the timing right now, NIL's cracked the door open for college athletes to earn real money and build brands, even before they go pro. But Unrivaled is trying to give WNBA players like a slice of the ownership and year-round competition, but the media landscape is more open, with streaming. It's more open than it's ever been. And then you got these players with their own platforms, and thank goodness, for that hasn't been restricted, So if Black women can kind of align all that, ownership, a little media control, and some brand building, it might really change the game. But it's just them people working overtime to keep these players from connecting those dots. I mean, the nation wasn't built on freedom. It was marketed on freedom, but it wasn't built on freedom. And so, when not being free and being able to exploit somebody's labor that made you the kind of capital that's in the hands, of the dominant society. Yeah, that's going to be a hard charge, let that model go. Very hard.
Audience, y'all let us know. Coming in the door. When you have to like and share, because they both right there, then get in the chat. Let us know. When you see Black women dominate the league, but not the boardroom, do you think it's because they're not being offered the opportunity or because they're being intentionally blocked from it? Get in the chat. Let us know. We want to hear from y'all as we break down, as we get into this breakdown. So let us know. Because I definitely feel like we were just talking about Angel Reese. Angel. When you're your own brand and when you partner with somebody, you were coming in, you were saying like Angel's decided to move up the drop of her shoe. Empowered, ownership, agency. I'm not gonna do it then, I'm gonna do it now.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of different reasons why she may want to do that, right? And we could get into those, but the power, the agency to be able to do that when you own your brand, it's important. Let me see here. I saw a question. When was the last lockout for the WNBA, or has the WNBA never had a lockout like you see with the NBA? Nah, I don't believe they've ever locked out.
It was a threat. Yeah, it was a threat of one, but remember they didn't get it done until January. It was, they didn't get it done.
It was like delayed, but they agreed to keep working. I mean, man, when you only make it 30,000, 40,000.
What you fighting for anyway?
You ain't walking away from that. You got to keep the lights on, like. It was like, go to work. But so that's why that's why this time right now is so important. Uh, both in sports entertainment, if you have women more in executive positions, you think this issue gets eliminated uh, completely, or because it's ingrained in it's never going to change. Uh, let me say this. Let me say this. I don't think that it's because it ain't women in charge. There's a lot of women in charge right now. Kathy up there, it's some women in charge. It's the system that they're running. I believe.
Mhm.
I believe it's the system. But we also have to. Here we go. I'm gonna have to. Oh, okay, we got to go here real quick, Lil. Okay, now let's talk about this for just 1 second, because you talked about it really eloquently about how we saw a woman in charge in Chicago. We saw a black woman in charge in Chicago, and we saw that woman. And I don't know if it was her choice or by force. Um, she almost turned her back on another black woman in charge, right? The one that she had hired. How does the system make that happen, right? Like, how does the system make that happen?
Because you let me tell you something. You could be visibly an owner, but not actually an owner. So if you walk into a situation like she did, and I don't know what her financial positioning was, but if she only owned 10% of that business and the white guy owns 90%, her decisions are going to have only a 10%.
Almost like a silent partner.
Yeah, it's only going to have like a 10% effect. But when you see her marketed, she's marketed as some owner. Not they put out some stuff that makes it appear that she's the only one driving, getting a new facility. Mm-hmm. Trying to get that team rolling and this, that, and the other. But you still got the good old boy network over a couple of beers, outvoting her. Because she has, there are 3 white men in that chain of command. And I'm more than sure that, they got together and probably without her and decided we was going in this direction, because she told us this was going to be a black girl thing. She evidently had proposed a black leadership mantra for the Chicago Sky, and just no sooner than she put it together, it was gone.
When do you think it got to be too black?
I don't know.
At some point, it got to be too black. They was like, okay. That's enough. Enough with the black now. Okay, it was like, okay.
When the Twin Towers got to town, and and you had too many black brands there. Angel Reese got her own brand, Camilla got her own brand, but Teresa Weatherspoon in the chain also has a brand.
Right.
Now, Jeffy Pooh, he doesn't have a brand, and Mr. Fox, he doesn't have a brand, and nobody hardly hears from Mr. Alter. He ain't got a brand, And so I think it's just an internal power struggle, and you had black celebrities. Let me tell you something. I've been around the Sky since they was playing over at the college over here by the 290 highway. I'm talking about some years ago. And that place last year, it was lit over there. It was lit, and the dots was connected. And I think that's because that young lady, Miss Rollins, worked at Live Nation. She was some kind of CEO. She held a high executive position at Live Nation. And I believe she understood the spectacle of entertainment, but these guys was looking at the model down the street, and they want to load up the coffers, but like, it's a copycat league is the dumbest thing I think you could do, is have a copycat league.
Me too, especially because you could have a unique experience at
everywhere.
You got a unique experience everywhere. But I just feel like at some point it would be too black. They was like, okay, look, enough. Okay, a little bit of rap music. Okay, a DJ. Okay, the Reese's Pieces. Okay, Barbie night. Okay, some rappers coming. Okay, Meg Thee Stallion.
Actors.
Okay, there was like
Lorenzo Tate, Common.
there was like
I mean, you had big entertainment.
Okay, there was like
Then you got Dwayne Wade. He associated, from being from Chicago.
And then at some point there was like enough. Okay, enough. Hold on, we got to pause for the call. Got to pause for the cause. Got to pause for the cause. Erica. Support, fam. Appreciate the support, fam. Make sure y'all pushing this thing back out for us. Thank you, Erica. Thank you so much for the support. Was good, y'all. Okay, let me see. We got some more comments here. They're being intentionally blocked from it, especially when Black women don't fit the boardroom expectations and image. But even when certain Black women follow the expectations, they still be I don't know. They still get lowball. Okay. Let's talk about that. What are the expectations to fit the boardroom?
Quiet. If you're Black.
Quiet? Is it quiet? Okay.
Yeah, they want that hush mouth. Just make us money and don't say nothing too loud and this and that. But it's really kind of
okay. Okay, let me tell you what's crazy about that. Let me tell you what I think is crazy about that. The Met Gala, one of the biggest networking opportunities in the world. A lot of money get made that night, right? A lot of money. Okay?
Top of the food chain.
Top of the food chain. Angel went one time. She didn't even get to enjoy herself really good because she only had 24 hours to go to the Met Gala and play some basketball. They got a load of Angel for one night and was like, we want more of that. We want so much more of that we want you on the board so that you bring more of that.
Yes.
This year's Met Gala brought Diana Ross out. Diana Ross ain't been to a Met Gala in my
20 years.
30, 40, 50 years. You hear me? 20, okay? But I mean, she stopped the show, right? But it wasn't just her that came out. You saw all kind of people come out. But you saw this network and this gathering that wasn't race-based. It was money-based. It was all kind of people that were trying to partner and move and groove and do things. That's what you want.
Yeah.
Do deals. That energy that was at the Met this year. What you see it on Rival. Why is that so scary to the system? Why are they so scared of that? Why are they so scared of that? Because to me, you know what? I ain't gonna lie to y'all. You see the Met Gala, you should hear Dr. King and your little black boys, little black girls, white girls, white boys, all coming together, making money. Did y'all see all them different colored people in there? They didn't care about how old you was, what color you was, what industry you was in. Do we like each other? Look, see, feel. Do we want to do some stuff together? Let's get this money. Let's get to the bag.
Yeah.
What in the hell is wrong with the WNBA? The Met Gala was like, hey, let's get to the bag. The WNBA is like, we're not so sure. We're not so sure about that now. We're not so sure. What is it about a Met Gala like we saw on Rival popping up, giving equity to players? What is so
gatekeeper control. And here's what I mean by gatekeeper control. Okay. Angel at the Met Gala, the league didn't have nothing to do with it. Then you had the champions at the gala, and they didn't have nothing to do with that. I'm sure Angel arranged for the champs, to be represented there. So they in panic mode. We didn't give approval, or this wasn't our ideal, this, that, and the other, regardless of the fact that it's bringing eyes. These people are so indoctrinated with a desire to control everything that they make partnering impossible. You can't be in a partnership where the other person wants so much control that they dictating your half of the life. And this is what their problem is. They just want to control everything. They don't want you to have any freedom. They want everything to be their ideal. They want to, control any negotiations that might be going on, this, that, and the other. And that kind of narcissistic attitude is just, everywhere in the leadership out there. It's like that. And I believe it's like that in Chicago, because this guy, he done had 2 black female coaches that really could have did. I know, you know, Pokey Chapman. She had like a little 6-year run. She was the general manager and a little basketball coach, and had done fairly well. She got them to the playoffs for the first time in their history after 8 years of losing. And then she was able to also get them to a final. And when they terminated her, she had a winning record. You looking at these people like, I'm like, what is wrong with these people? And then they turn around and they'll try to act like it ain't a black and white thing behind a male coach, you know. And then they repeating the cycle. I'm like, if you got a young woman like Reese that can get you money and endorse, why would you care unless you mentally ill? You know, I mean, she's one of your best earners. You know, she bringing life into your organization. Why wouldn't you want her to be out there? And then you pretended at the All-Star game like you was gonna have her be the GM junior. At least that's what you was gaslighting her with. And you turn around and chopping the girl up every which way, and it's just an ongoing thing. Why would you want to stay there? I wouldn't even want to speak to them people, let alone that building.
Listen, I don't know nobody that just locked the cash cow out.
Well, we've had some people that kill the goose that was laid in the golden egg. I mean, you know, look what Ike did to Tina.
Don't get me started there. Don't get me started there.
Money maker there. Cut the chocolate out. Cause why? He wanted control.
It's always
he wanted control.
Control. What's the correct balance of control, right? Like if we look at this, what does that look like, right? If the CBA goes how it needs to go, is that a 50-50 split in power? What is it what do you think that has to look like for Black women to start being respected and having agency and equity?
The first thing you have to do is pay them out of all of the revenues they generate. Let's start right there. You know, regardless of whether you want to, you know, because in a partnership, somebody got to have 51%, somebody got to have 49%. I think the men switch it up every other time, you know.
They rotate
but the thing, yeah. And so the bottom line is, you know, don't pay me out of 3 pots of money when you know it's 23 pots of money. Don't do me like that, you know, because I'm not giving you half an effort. I'm giving you the total effort. And why not? You got the LMAs, the marketing agreements. What 2 ways you could use that? You could use that by bringing in these the veterans, you know, that you probably owe money, and paying them to be ambassadors for the league, like they do in hockey. Every team in hockey got some old superstar that they keep around to do the ambassador work. You know, or either take your top marketing people and let them form a committee and get out here and get these corporations bringing in deals, you know, to the league, and stop acting like you got to do everything. You know, I don't know. You know, people don't know how to end a control system. You know, people. The desire to be controlled all over this world, how they colonized all over this world, put in that system of control. People are turning away from that now. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to be bothered with it. Everybody want to live nice, not just a tiny cabal at the top, you know. And they have too much talent in this league, and this league has a lot of women with degrees. You know, you could explode and expand this thing if you wasn't busy trying to nitpick every inch of control. It's just not necessary. It is too much information out now. People don't want to be controlled. But see, the danger is they want the league to be responsible for your success and not for you to be responsible for your success, because they want to keep you dependent. You know, that's the same mentality on the plantation. You know, they want to keep you so dependent on them that you can't do anything for yourself. So that's, to me, is a big problem. I think these women, I think eventually they're just gonna walk away.
I mean, but think about that though. You said a lot of these women have degrees. Think about that.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of these women got degrees. You probably got a subject matter expert in probably just about every category.
Every category, yeah.
Someplace in the league. You think about that. What they could pour back into the league if you would partner with them in the offseason instead of having them go to try to, trollop around getting other money other places after they don't, you done work them to death over here. I mean, come on, pay them what you want. But when we talk about agency in sports, we're talking about more than just the shoe deal and posting on Instagram. It's the control over the image, your labor, your contracts, the path of your career, start to finish. The power to decide, not just react. The power to decide, not just react. Too many black women in the dub still have to negotiate their future systems where they hold the least power. Even when they carry the biggest parts of the biggest moments of the league on their shoulders, right? Equity then takes it further. Not equal pay, ownership stakes, voicing the policies that govern the league, ability to build long-term wealth that lasts long after retirement. What does retirement look like for these ladies right now? They can't hardly go to the doctor right now. Can they go to the doctor after they ain't in the WNBA? I wonder. Okay, but equity means you're not just a name in the headlines for a season. You're part of the infrastructure that decides where the money flows and who gets to thrive. Without equity, agency is just a temporary win. But this is the danger, Lil. Some sports organizations love symbolic inclusion. They'll put a black woman face on the season poster so quick, send her in the ad campaigns, use her name to sell the merchandise. But that inclusion does not equal influence. You would think, oh man, what, your face everywhere? You must be, man, can't get in the headquarters. Can't get in the headquarters without an appointment. Face of the league, can't get in headquarters without an appointment. You hear me? You're not being the face of the league doesn't mean that you're the force behind the decisions. So this conversation is critical, I think, Bill, because if you don't hold the power, you can be replaced, you can be ignored, or you can be erased, or all three. So we did the recording, and I hope y'all check that out. But let's talk power moves. How does the lack of agency and equity for black women in the W tie into larger political and economic systems designed to keep marginalized groups from owning their labor? I got a question for the audience too. Go ahead.
You know what? The WNBA it reflects like a broader pattern. Systems or structures designed to extract labor, and they can't seem to progress from that. Okay, that was used to build the country. Now you have a country. You've extracted the wealth. Black women athletes, they generate massive value, but they often see little control over the contracts, the branding, or the league policy. And that mirrors the same historical inequities where black labor creates wealth for others, mostly white men, capitalize on it, leaving black women with limited agency. And we just in a time and space where that needs to go away. It needs to go away in every industry with every group of marginalized people, not just black women. I'm talking about marginalized groups across this spectrum. Because if it doesn't, you're going to wind up with a country looking like California. It's just going to be on fire.
Let's get real. When we talk about the rooms where it happens, in women's sports, we talk about the places where the real power live at. Ladies, this is black labor and white wealth. Oh, yeah. Oh, goodness. There we go.
Great book.
Mr. Golden, what's happening? Yes, it is. Black labor, white wealth. Check it out. That means the league offices where the policies get made, the ownership suites where the investments get approved, the broadcasting studios even where the narratives are being shaped, marketing meetings where the endorsements get handed out. We got to be at the labor union tables where the contracts get negotiated. Those is the hubs where game off the court decides the game on it. So how many black women are in each of these rooms? We know they dominate on the hardwood, but in league offices, black women are rare. In team ownership, they're almost non-existent. And turn on national broadcast, black women voices are still the minority, even some of y'all favorites, right? Sponsorship and marketing deal negotiations, mostly controlled by executives who don't look like players driving the league's popularity. Labor union talks, spaces meant to represent everybody, right? All the players equally. Leadership doesn't always reflect the league's, what would we say, true demographics. But it's not just a missed opportunity. Again, it's power control. If you're not present when the TV rights are discussed, when revenue splits are decided, when the brand campaigns are crafted, you're not just left out. You locked out of shaping your future. That's why when we talk about the agency and equity, you have to start by actually who's actually in the rooms when the decisions get made. If we map out these power hubs, what does the lack of Black women in those spaces tell us about how the league and the sports industry are structured politically and economically, Will?
You know, unfortunately, sports is a derivative from the plantation itself. You know, that's where your first sport leagues really kind of derive the whole thing. And it just shows that the system was built to concentrate wealth and influence just in the hands of a few, mostly white men. So these power hubs, ownership executive boards, and major sponsorship deals, they operate through a network that has historically excluded Black women, meaning their absence is less about talent and more about gatekeeping and structural barriers. So, you know, the thing is, you know, when you look at the plantation model of economic exploitation and extraction, you know, Black women were there playing dual roles. They had to, you know, pick cotton, take care of the house, take care of the master's babies in the house, you know, this, that, and the other. And so it was never a thought to include them in any decision making, you know. And so that has unfortunately just carried over and over and over and over. And here we are today, not looking that much different, you know. So it's just the back to control. I mean, I can't say it no other way. You know, it's kind of unnatural to want to control somebody like that, but you know, that's what happens even in abusive relationships. You know, it's about
and
that
it's
control.
crazy. The decision makers, the people with the control, like Professor Golden is saying here, they ain't one of those sports bra, no jock strap.
Ain't laced up no tennis shoes.
Ain't shot a basket. Ran a rock one time. It's insulting to our intelligence that they are even in power. How they the decision makers? But from a political standpoint, how can Black women players leverage their influence on the court to get these seats in these decision making rooms? We got to unlock the door, and it seems like they're gonna have to do it with they play. How do they get that done, Lil?
Well, you know what? The on-court success builds visibility, but translating that into off-court power requires an intentional strategy. You know, and I believe these women, these current players in the WNBA, they're going to come up with a strategy. You know, they got to create collective bargaining influence. You know, they need to form their own investment groups, launch women-led NIL collectives, you know, and using public platforms to demand representation. You know, turning athletic influence into political and economic leverage is a bridge from symbolic inclusion to real power. And I believe the moves that they're making with Unrivaled and getting the next set of stars coming into the league, you know, coming through the Unrivaled channel, you know, it's a lot of men out there complaining, talking about Nafisa out there pumping and building her own league. Well, you need to pump and build something because I done sent you several requests for fairness and you keep coming back, you know, with the slap in the face. So, you know, now it's time to sit back and from generation, because the fight, y'all, is over labor. That's the fight. These athletes are a labor pool, as I explained to you before, just like a pool of engineers, a pool of cooks, you know, a pool of doctors. Athletes are a labor pool, you know, and every league wants the top talent. And so because you want to sell, you want to put the best product on the floor. So Kaya, you know, I don't know how much a student of history she is, but she is moving intentionally to secure the best labor. Because if she gets her hands on, she already captured they next Paige Becker, and that move she did with Paige and Flau'jae, and then bringing Juju, and Dawn Stanley, into in an investment pool. But when she made this 14 play on this next crop of talent, she letting the big boys know, look, we down for a fight. It's gonna be some change one way or the other. It's gonna be a drag out knockout. So
when Lou, you said something interesting. It's a labor pool. Do athletes have to be looked at as individual labor pools by league, or could the entire professional athlete group be a labor pool that pushes back up infrastructure?
Yeah, they all a labor pool. I'll give you an example. If the blacks in the leagues in these labor pools came to a meeting Jesus moment and said, you know what, we think we're not gonna play in the leagues for the next year. You're talking about a $250 billion collapse that would happen. So this is the reason why you want to unionize. You want to have a solid union. Now, right now they don't have as good a union as they could, because I think they folded. And I think now that they have Unrivaled and its potential to spread, and you got all of these corporations. I'm gonna tell you a lot of these corporations are pissed at the NBA, for cutting them out the deal and this, that, and the other. This could be the break that they need. There's always that moment in history where you had that breakthrough, and I just think this is that time. Now, one thing I do not like, but I'm not sure, I don't know why they haven't pulled in any political leverage. Because right now, the labor union, the MBPA, they should be working with civil rights organizations. They should be working with the American Bar Association. They should be working with the Black Women Caucus. You're gonna need some political punch too.
Well, where you at? See, we was the one got you where you need to go.
Big time.
You ain't fired up. You ain't fired up nothing for us. See, where you at? We put our shirts on and marched and called and did. Where you at?
Yeah, but he the one should have gathered the Black Caucus together and been in on this fight.
He still got time, but where you at?
Yeah. See, I don't. That's why we need to get out a letter to the union reps and kind of see who's on the team, who can we solicit to get on the team, because this is a serious fight. However this goes, it's going to spill over. You have Trump is very angry that Black women didn't vote for him in large numbers, and he has fired or caused the termination of 300,000 Black women jobs. These are women that are taking care of families, raising children that may or may not have a partner that's working or contributing. This is going to be a monumental disaster for our community. That's why this thing is so important in terms of Black women, being able to stand 10 toes down and get this done. Because this could fall over into other industries, exerting a power, especially in a place where we got numbers. There are some industries we got good numbers in. So yeah, everybody got to fall on their sword. So I think Nafisa and them have to really set it up where people can financially stabilize themselves during this time. Because I just can't see it working out without a drag out, knockdown court. They didn't do that with the men, but they're gonna do that with the women.
Let's find out. I mean, and let's understand how exclusion operates in women's sports, right? I want to give some real life examples. So let's start with Asia and Angel, and those are two of the most dominant marketable athletes in the game. They both use their platforms to speak out on equity, representation, Despite their success, they faced everything from media bias to missed opportunities. This should have been no-brainers. No-brainers for sponsors and networks. Some players get headline making endorsements when you come to these marketing deals. Black women, though, they get left on the sideline of campaigns for brands they've already elevated on the course. Now, how the hell Lay's chips ain't thought about my Lazy Poo in the deal? How easy is that? How easy is that? Lay's? Well, how easy is that?
Lays. That's all.
I disagree. Black men have fought for decades in NBA for pay.
I didn't say they didn't fight.
I think we said we're not gonna make them go to court. They're not gonna have to have a full-on court battle, is what we're saying.
Drag out, knockout court battle.
Yeah, that's what we saying there. Yeah, they not gonna have to take it that far.
The men had a coming to men meeting and got the thing done. They resisting over here every step of the way.
They're gonna have to go see a judge over here, we think. But I mean, like Lays, Angel Reese. It was too hard of y'all to think of Reese's Pieces. Angel saw if she wanted to be part of that. Asia Wilson. How the hell is she not the Wilson ball? How she don't got a Wilson ball? How? These are what are we talking about? But think about it. That Nike, Gatorade, ESPN features, spaces where Wilson and Reese, they should be everywhere. They ain't though. It's not just athletes that face the exclusion. Coaching opportunities. Becky got an NBA shot. Dawn, one of the most decorated and respected. I don't think that she's been recruited in the same lane, right? Like she got the interview. She talked about the interview. I don't think that she would go to the NBA, but I don't know that they really talk about Dawn like they talk about Becky. Like I think the expectation is that someday Becky, even I think so, is due back in San Antonio. Like I think that they're gonna come a calling. Here's another layer though: the lack of black agents and sports attorneys working with women athletes. And shout out to what's LeBron's group?
Clutch Sports.
I don't want to get Rich Paul wrong. What's his name?
Clutch Sports.
So shout out to Clutch because they working with the women. And shout out to Rich because I don't know if people really understand what Rich did to be able to just be an agent. They tried to move the goalposts on him so crazy.
Didn't they?
They tried to move the goalposts on Rich. He stood 10 toes down, which gives a lot of other people opportunity too. Now be agents and get in this arena, right? But we need more of that. We need more black agents, more black sports attorneys, more black financial advisors, more. We need more of that. And not because I'm just telling people that black people should only be doing business with black people. What I'm saying is sometimes it's a level of comfort, it's a level of trust, it's a level of understanding. And then it's a level of commitment and responsibility back to the community that you may not get when you go with mainstream type financial advisors, attorneys, all of those things, because that's not where they're at. Mm-hmm. They're on a totally different page. We still try to build some things just within our community as a whole. So it's some things that we need to do back into our community just for sustainability. This is a labor issue. However, most of the American public people don't see entertainment as a real job. Okay, they need to think about how bored they was when the writers was on strike. How many times you gonna rewatch a series? You hear me? Yes, entertainment is a real job. Mm-hmm. That is a labor market. Treat them like that. It's fun, and it's something else we don't talk about. And I ain't gonna get on my soapbox. But here's the thing. I'm just gonna ask this question: have y'all noticed that there's a whole lot of African American looking actors and actresses that when they get off the movie they on, they got a whole different accent. They're not even from here.
Yeah.
What about the black labor in this country? What about the black actors and actresses in this country? They're not good enough. And that's not a knock on them, but I just noticed more and more. It seems like they'll go get an African American looking actress or actor to play roles that I'm sure we have qualified U.S. born African Americans to play the role. I'm gonna just keep it real. Listen, I'm just keeping it real. And y'all let me know what y'all think about that. But I just noticed that, like, well, dang, Taraji ain't been working, but here you is, keep on working. Every time I look up, you go. Taraji didn't want no jobs. Regina King don't need no job. Regina King doing Cadillac commercials. I'm saying, but I see so and so that had 3 movies in the last 5 years. None of them roles Regina couldn't do. Think about how talented Regina King is, from the Boondocks to 227 to whatever else you wanted her to be. Erased, left out, no control, not making no decisions, not in decision making room. They wanted agents to have a bachelor degree. Wasn't that wild? It was like, oh, Rich was like, yeah, I'm gonna show you something.
After you made $50 million, what do you need a bachelor's? What is that? What is that gonna do? Make them 50 million more? I mean, that was just so ridiculous. But it was so obvious, the jealousy.
Let's see. Ladies, please go deeper on the Becky Hammon and Dawn Staley coaching comparison. Coach Staley is eligible for Hall of Fame as a coach. Oh, absolutely. Coach Staley is eligible. But I heard what Coach Staley said about going for the interview just this season. Coach Staley said, the next woman who gets the opportunity, call me. So I can make sure you're prepared. Think about that. Call me so I can make sure you're prepared. I went in the room. I know what they're gonna ask. I know what they're looking for. Call me. I don't necessarily know if they're gonna call me again, but call me. It don't even sound like she want to go, because the other thing she said was, in order for the NBA to have a female coach, they have to be ready for a female coach. Hold on one second, Joe. I am so sorry. Sorry, my people got excited about I think they're watching Big Brother up there. My bad. Here we go. Here we go. It's similar to baseball. They were low paid, non-black Americans. Yeah, they're crazy. They want to earn $1 million a month. The WNBA doesn't fund itself. Who wants to earn $1 million a month? That's what you talking about. In an interview for the Portland job before they hired Billups, the corporate media only mentioned Becky. Don just interviewed for the New York. Who was that? Knicks job?
Yeah, Knicks.
Yeah, substitute African Americans. Yeah, I'm not clear. You watching Big Brother too? I don't know what just happened, but they went off up there like, yeah. I don't know what happened. I don't watch, so I don't know. They are continuing the war against Black American descendants of slaves. What do you mean? Tell me about that. Talk more about that, FM. Yeah, but Coach Staley said, "Yo, call me up." She said the NBA is not ready for a female coach. They haven't even thought about how you have a female coach. You just can't be like, okay, we're gonna bring a female in here into this the culture that you have here. How do you bring the woman in here? Do you got facilities for a woman? Do you got it was just a lot of things that they hadn't thought about. She was like, they ain't even ready. Like it was nice to be thought of, but it don't sound like they're ready yet. And we asking y'all, do y'all think these exclusions happen because brands and leagues underestimate the market power of Black women, or because they fear what happens when that power is fully unleashed? What do y'all think? What do y'all think it is? And we can't take a deeper dive on Becky and Dawn coaching opportunities at some point if you want to, Bill. I didn't want to cut that off, but without the representation, though, that understands both the cultural and the business realities, and that's what I was saying. This is why we want agents and attorneys and people that look like us. Players are negotiated from a position of disadvantage. And it's not about a lack of talent. It's about a system that decides voices, faces, and skills that get valued at the highest level. So these case studies, they're not isolated. They're proof that exclusion is strategic, not accidental. Why can't women coach men? Men coach women. Women raise these boys to become men. So I don't think that that's true. I think women can coach men. And you know what? It's crazy for Professor Golden. I think that you'll see a woman more women coach men before you'll see women coaching women again. When I look at like what Sessions is doing, I seen Sessions stood up there next to CMB. I know who put that work in for him. Sessions got a few people in the NBA. If it's somebody in the chat that can give me a number, go ahead, give me a number. Shantae Michelle was just pointed out. We was just having this conversation. You see women out here. Look, Teresa Weatherspoon was putting in work. Who was she working with? Was that Zion?
Pelicans, yeah. New Orleans Pelicans, yeah. Zion. And Swain Cash was over there too, running their basketball operation.
So it's weird that you can get hired in the NBA, but you can't get hired in the WNBA. But as a female, you look at that. But as a black female, you probably look at that like, hey, the NBA money and the stability of the NBA probably looks way better than what you seen in the WNBA. I told you, Angel couldn't pay her rent with that check last year. She couldn't buy a ticket to the Met Gala with that check. Never mind. I say fear says it's a change of power or close to that. They fear what we possibly would do to them, what they have done to us. I would discourage that. We are not them. We're not them. We don't even move like that. We don't go bothering nobody. Think about that. We don't go bothering nobody. We don't go bothering nobody. Not too much. In general, as a people, in general, as a culture, that's not who we are. Now, can we turn up all the way? We get all the way turned up, but in general, that's not who we are. Think about it. In general, on the weekend, what you want to do? In the summertime, cut a little music on, a little barbecue, watch the game. You ain't bothering nobody. You're not out trying to take over nothing. You ain't out trying to rule the world or take control. Man, all we want is a little bit of equity. All we want is it's the same respect that other people get. We're not even asking you. We said we'll build our own stuff. When we built our own stuff, y'all got mad that we had our own stuff. And came over here and told that up. Why?
Yep, burnt it down.
We weren't even bothering your stuff. We weren't even bothering your stuff. We had built us some stuff. And we was like, we cool right here. They were like, we tear that up. Why? That's not who we are. We're as a people, I just don't believe that that's who we are. We could turn up for sure. Oh yeah, we turn up. Main thing, we want our power back. But the other thing though is that we want our power back, but not to yield power over anyone else, but to be empowered ourselves to move how we want to move.
Right, independently.
That what this is supposed to be, land of the free, home of the brave. We was brave enough to build it. Let's be free enough to live in this thing. In other words, black porn actors are talented, but will not fight creativity, inaccurate narratives. Got you. Okay, FM, I'm with you. Okay. Yeah, we want to be left alone. That's most of the black folks I know. We just want to get on our spot, mind our business. Get on our spot and mind our business. Okay. David Lowell. No one said his name wrong. Playing MLKY. That thousands of FBA talented actors. FM. Yeah. Okay. I was just asking y'all. I mean, look at Harriet. I'm gonna tell y'all something else. And then I'm gonna get back to the topic. But this just bothered me, and I'm gonna just tell y'all because I know a lot of y'all love this. I hate that they made that movie called Black Panther. I absolutely hate that they made that movie called Black Panther, and I'm gonna tell you why. It's probably even right now. When you Google Black Panther, T'Challa and them come up. He could have been a cheetah. He could have been a black jaguar. He could have been anything. But to take the Black Panther history, because you got to go digging for that now. Huey and them don't come up. What they did in their community don't come up. How they fed the kids and got their rights and stood on business in Oakland and spread that thing around the nation. That don't come up. The challenge them come up. And I know y'all love it. Wakanda forever. Man, get that man, hell with all that, bro. I ain't here for it. I ain't gonna hold you. Now I know y'all want a black superhero, but forget a black superhero. I got real superheroes in my community that need to be celebrated. And y'all took some with that Wakanda forever. Y'all can beat me up in the chat if you want to. I didn't like it. He could have been anything. Jaguar, cheetah, panther. It did not have to be a Panther.
Mm-hmm.
Did not have to be a Panther. Did not have to be a Panther. And that's an important part of our history.
Yeah, and that's how you get erasure.
Now, erase.
That's how you get erasure.
But you know what was crazy though, and this would piss me off, is we had so many black people celebrating that the next day. People acting like they were at the airport trying to get tickets to Wakanda, showing up at the movies with their dashikis on, showing up at the movies. They were doing African dances before the movie started.
That's how they co-op you.
Yeah, but how many of y'all gonna show up with y'all dashikis on and vote? How many of y'all gonna show up with y'all dashikis on to see about our rights? How many of y'all gonna show up with y'all dashikis on to do and support these black women? But y'all was all ready to go to made up ass Wakanda. Man, come on, man. Okay, never mind. I get off my I'm gonna get off my soapbox because y'all didn't come here for that. Y'all didn't come here for that. My bad. All these schools have breakfast for children programs. Thank the Black Panther Party.
Exactly.
Do you hear me? Exactly. Do you hear me? Do you hear me? Never mind. I ain't okay. Never mind. But that's proof the exclusion is strategic. It's not accidental. But Bill, from a political and business perspective, how critical is it for Black women to have representation? Agents, lawyers, marketers who share their lived experiences and can fight for them in these spaces.
It's essential. You know, representation that understands the unique challenges of Black women in sports ensures advocacy is strategic, culturally informed, and uncompromised. And so these shared lived experience, they create a trust and accountability, which translates into better contracts, sponsorship deals, and access to power structures that have been, historically excluded from these athletes. I think it is very important to be able to sit down and express your ideals and your desire to build your own community to somebody that's been in the community. For example, if you're an athlete, I give Flaw J for an example. Flaw J has cultural representation in her mom. I think that's very important for her to get 20 acres and for her and her mom to decide, okay, we're going to put an affordable housing complex on it. Because maybe if she was represented by somebody else, they might tell her to put some condos on there out of reach of the very people she needs to be helping. This is what I'm saying when I say it's essential. It's important that representation understand you as a person, have had some of your lived experience, and then are able to help you navigate how you can help your community. Because you ain't never been in the community, you don't know how you can help them. You ain't trying to help them. You're trying to figure out a way that you can, put $1 in your pocket, and not to say that $1 in the pocket is not important, but you steer. Our athletes are steered away from their community. You ain't come down there and do a damn basketball camp. They're all out in the suburbs, with little Johnny and little Susie doing a camp, but can't, and I don't want to hear, they fear and or this, this, that, and the other. That's bull crap. Because I know in Chicago, you can go to any part district and you'll be able to safely conduct the camp, or this, that, and the other. So it's not that. It's just that when you are surrounded by a bunch of advisors that have nothing to do with your upcoming and your upbringing, they are not going to steer you to help your people. And that's, to me, that's part of what systemic problems that we have, and why the elevation of our athletes does not reflect what's going on in the community. So everything is about escaping from us, from those, work the community, and you're taught to escape. And then once you escape, you looking for you might marry a white woman so you can get further access to what that side of the equation is, and you're not, you become less concerned. But if you have people pulling you in and pulling you out of the process. And I'm not advocating that you have to go back and live on the block. It'd be silly, not saying that. But the kind of influence that you could have used working with a Black lawyer, maybe a Black agent, that could help you, go back to your community and build something as simple as a housing complex or support some Black businesses. That's not going to be told to you you know, when the agents from another culture, you know, are deriving your money, is, you know, and you have to wonder, why do so many of these athletes wind up broke? Well, look who's advising them, and you know, look at the kind of deals they put them in. You know,
What? Let me tell you. Okay, okay. I'm gonna get on my soapbox one more time. I want to say two things. Number one of the things I love about Steph Curry is that ever since they moved to San Francisco, and if something has changed in the Bay, let me know. Steph and even Clay, while he was still there, made it their business to still go back to Oakland and give the same type of access to the young people in Oakland. Whether it's access to camps, whatever, they didn't forget Oakland. I love them for that. But you said that about they some of these people will set you up to make a lot of money and lose a lot of money in your career, right? Like, and sometimes it's us, and that's what I don't like. You said that, and I thought about. I thought about Mike Tyson telling the story about Don King. I want to say Don King was charging them like $1,000 a day for towels. For what, man? For what? Some of us be right in there to help you right out of your money. That you thought you was gonna make and live off of, like you thought you had generational wealth. But by the time it's all said and done, look at, I mean, you know, Cadillac record. That man, Money did all that saying. Money thought Money couldn't buy a house. Money pulled up. Money say, my wife want a house. He said, man, Money, you got a Cadillac. What about all them records I sold? Remember you had got all them Cadillacs? What? Help you write out your money. And they look like Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson is one of them ones who I love Mike Tyson. He lived this whole good, bad, ugly right in front of us. I used to hate for them to pat him on the ice, custom auto. And I know people be like, Cuz, taught it, bro, please. Just wanted to make money off Mike. Treating him like one of his sons, did he? Is he set up like one of his sons? Was his money took care of the trust like one of his sons? Oh, that good boy, like he old dog or some shit. Go back and look at the early Tyson fights. Don King too. Stole money from Tyson. Don stole money from a whole bunch of people.
Yeah, Don was a street hustler. And see, that's another thing. You got to watch that element coming in. I mean, Don King wasn't, you know, college educated or law degree holding individual. You know, he was a street hustler with a record. And them kind of people, you got to, you know, watch for them in your space. You know, he'd have got Ali if he hadn't been back, you know, by an organization he knew better than food with. You know,
that's crazy. You gotta watch your own self. The Sanders are what the system fears, don't they? Oh God,
ooh, big time.
They so scared. They so scared of Shador, and they know they can't stop him. They so scared of Shador, and they know they can't stop him, and they didn't see Shiloh coming.
Oh no, he snuck up on them, didn't he?
They like him so much they can't stand themselves. But they can't stand themselves. They fell in love with Shiloh because they didn't want him to be nothing. They did not want Shiloh to be nothing. They tried to not talk about that young man. They tried to not talk about that young man. That young man just kept on being Shiloh, just kept on playing football. You hear me? Then the young man stepped in and was just a big brother. He was a big brother that I don't care what color he was. That anybody that was in Shador's situation would have wanted by their side.
Mm-hmm.
Hard not to love a kid like that. They wanted to hate Shiloh. Now they can't get enough of him. Man, Don King stole money. Yep. He correct about Coach Prime. Even Smith said Florida coach was like his daddy. Those people only care if they can make money off of you. If you believe in hospitality, you're a fool. Yeah, hell yeah. Hell yeah. On how they use our black media pundits to attack the black athletes. Oh, listen. Oh, thank you, Professor Gold. I mean, you know, we got to be able to have these conversations. We do a lot of different things on this channel, and I have fun. We get serious. We get dedicated to our teams, but we have to be able to have these type of conversations too. So let's talk system. So this has spent decades keeping black women out of decision making rooms, but I think the game is shifting a little bit. You got players themselves are they building their own damn room. The Fisa Collier unrivaled 3-on-3 league. That's building wealth, visibility, power on their own terms. Then you got power moves and brand investment. Candace Parker, she's gone beyond endorsements in the ownership stakes, strategic partnerships. Chinea Gumake built a career merging kind of media, business, and sports while locking in some brand relationships that match her values. And then Flau'jae, she ain't waiting on WNBA to get her and her no platform. She's gonna show up with a platform. I hope that they have room for her platform in the WNBA. It's a multi-platform brand: music, podcast, fashion ventures, basketball dominance. And then we see athlete-led media platforms like Players TV, boardroom, spaces where athletes can control the narrative, own the content, profit directly. They doing their own podcast stuff, but just turned it up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, I love your podcast on how they use our black media pundits to attack the black athletes. You guys need a part 2 on that topic. Okay, we'll work on that. The Sanders boys had Deion's experience. They love to sign to college and draft players who are ignorant of the bigger picture. Yeah, they had Deion's experience, and Deion is sharing his experience with so many others now. People gonna be so sick. But these moves are about more than the money. I'm gonna keep saying it, y'all. Agency equity, shifting the power dynamic, so they're not just the subject of somebody else's story. They're the authors of their own. Get your own podcast, your own platform. Marshawn Lynch was like, "Yeah, I ain't gonna say nothing then, because when I say something, you're gonna twist it. So if I don't say anything, you can't twist it." Marshawn said, "No, he did," because everybody know Marshawn don't say shit. And it wasn't like that. It wasn't like that at first. It wasn't until you twisted his words and he was like, "Oh, that's how they did me? Yeah, I won't make that mistake again." So the only thing that you can talk to me about is the work Families First, my nonprofit. And he flipped that into a brand, but on his own terms, his own narrative, and he only partners with, it looks like, brands that are true to him. They can't. His ownership is crazy right now. That's what we need more of. They criticize Coach Prime, say nothing about the Manning family. Nothing about the Manning family, but they call the Manning family the first family of football. But that Sanders family is showing up. That Sanders family showing up. So and it's crazy because for his prime time. For his prime time as Deion Sanders was as a player, he's not prime time as a coach or a father at all. He doesn't show up bigger than life in these situations. Deion is playing it back, pushing these keys, making sure that they are educated and getting the guidance that they need, making good decisions, being in the right room. Big Drip talked about she make her players sign an NDA, so they can't talk about how much money they get, even though it eventually gets out. But they sign an NDA, and she's creative and she makes sure that everybody's okay. But it's all on how we take care of each other and how we take care of business. Let me see. My first memory of black fame on TV sports was Bo Jackson. Really? Oh, okay, David. My first memory of black fame on TV was, easy. That was magic. My daddy was, it was magic. Dr. J, Reggie Jackson, Diana Ross, Coach Prime is father to Joe Horn's son and Travis Hunter. He's father to so many. He's father to so many, man. Shout out to Prime. Glad he's mending and getting healthy. Bro, protect him. Hey, protect him at all costs. Protect Coach Prime at all costs, man. They don't make him like that, man. He's something special. They don't make him like that, man. He is something special. The way he love and give back for prime time as his prime time energy was on the field, or his representative, I should say, was Deion Sanders is a hell of a guy. A hell of a guy. You go back and you look like you see y'all wouldn't even think y'all probably think Shador took a lot of money from Colorado. He didn't take no money from Colorado. Matter of fact, he took some of his money and gave back into the to help them kids, help those players. Travis gave back. They don't talk about that part though. They don't talk about that part. Leo, how do these new business models challenge the traditional sports power structure that has kept athletes, especially black women, on the outside of the major decision making?
You know, the new business models like these decentralized autonomous organizations, they call them DAOs, NIL collectives, and community investment pipelines. That shifts control directly to the players. And the goal here is to bypass these traditional gatekeepers, redistribute financial power, and create alternative routes of influence, forcing the league and the industry to reckon with the athletes as owners and decision makers, and not just talent to be managed. Our whole economic system, been built on managing talent, but as people come to realize their value and the value of their labor, they want autonomy, and I think that's going to have to happen across the economy, in order for this country to survive. You're going to have to change the way the labor force is handled. And I think, with I just look at what Angel Reese, has done just with Reebok, and how she was able to have so much influence that she was able to speed up a release of a shoe, when everybody else, some of these other people they drag it all the way out. She's able to she's able to have that kind of influence and partnership where she can look at the market and say, hey, we need to strike right now. So that's what's going on. This is how these black women are gonna find themselves in decision making. The Collier's decision to go ahead and take that risk of launching Unrivaled. I mean, that was huge, and it was a huge gamble, but it was perfect timing because the NBA had kind of jacked over TNT on re-upping them because they running behind Disney and Prime now, and so they had that money on the table, and boom, with something, and then the way they rolled it out and made it popular, to the point where they damn near breaking even they first round out. That doesn't happen. They can't go nowhere but up from here, and it's the potential to spread with that move they made with those 14 young ladies. Whew, and then getting them ready. They had them all come down in the summer, and they down there training, working with, experts and stuff. I mean, it's something the league should have did, but anyway, they slept on it and somebody else picked it up and went on with it. So,
okay, and I see you. Hello, Friendly said Swift Cash was recruited by Isaiah Thomas. He encouraged her, and I believe mentored her as well. Zeke. Man, we could spend hours talking about Isaiah. He don't get enough credit. Isaiah Thomas does not get enough credit for what he brought to the league. Listen, and I know that for lots of different reasons, people have different opinions and feelings about Isaiah. I'm just talking about from a business standpoint, what his basketball mind gave to this league and other leagues. Man, he owned the league at one point. Then he got so successful they wanted that league. Launched the Toronto Raptors, made some really great changes here in Detroit, especially around the coverage of black athletes as they were rolling out. The Pistons and the Bad Boys. It wasn't even they didn't even have black press. They didn't even have black press covering them when Zeke first got here. Hey, got to get some black press down here covering us so they can cover us for our community from our perspective to tell our story. Like, we can say a lot of things about Zeke. We can say a lot of look and listen. And I know it goes all over the place with Isaiah, but when you talk about what he gave just as a black man for the culture to this league by himself, Shit, man, check his resume out. It's a hell of a resume. When he got to talk, I was like, damn, Zeke, you did that too? Wow, jeez. So listen, I got a lot of respect for Isaiah Thomas. Zeke spoke with Swin Cash, mother changed her life. And then we talked. I got a story coming out about Swin Cash. People don't realize Swin Cash is the reason that we got to pop point forward, but y'all don't want to talk about that. Swin Cash changed the way we play basketball. We play basketball in this league right now.
And she'll be somebody's GM.
You don't have to believe me, but if you go back and look, Bill Lambier came here, turd loose, man. Hey, Swin Cash got to handling that rock, man. Change women's basketball. Change women's basketball. Okay, well, we don't. Y'all didn't come here for that. I'm not going. My bad, y'all. Okay, Isaiah was president of the Players Association. He changed the business model. He made sure Brian Burrell was a beat writer. He's the first one. There we go. Talk about it. See, I don't be making this stuff up, y'all. I don't know everybody's name and everything, but that's it right there. And I know. Shout out to Isaiah. I know he's going through some health things right now. I hope that he gets healthy with the Bell's palsy and everything that he's dealing with. But like him or not, as a player, he really made some differences here. What do y'all think in the audience? What do y'all think will have a bigger long-term impact? Black women gaining seats in existing power rooms or building entirely new rooms through ownership and media control? Should they? What'll make the biggest impact? Them getting in the rooms that exist right now, or just building some new damn rooms? Yeah. Let me know. I'm curious. Politically speaking, Lil, what risk do the women face when they start trying to create their own revenue stream by bypassing the league's control?
I mean, the risk is backlash, including reduced opportunities, public criticism, and just, general pushback. When you challenge entrenched powers, structures, and threaten the status quo, leagues may attempt to delegitimize or pressure these athletes, just like the WNBA is trying to delegitimize Unrivaled. Throwing little sneak disses, trying to say that, it's some kind of conflict of interest. I mean, just little things like that. But the risks are part of the trade-off for building autonomy, ownership, and long-term influence. The bottom line is, Unrivaled gonna stand 10 toes down, and we get, we're not writing it out to CBA as I've heard some people propose that they're talking about, saying that you can get this in the CBA if you eliminate Unrivaled and stuff. And nobody's trying to hear that. It's just not happening. You have to at some time build parallel systems. I know that this society has knocked down a lot of black parallel systems, like how they destroyed the Negro Baseball League, and stuff like that. But things are different now. And I believe that because there's international capital, like they did in golf, now that you got some other people with some money in their pocket that can, offer some things globally, this is the best time to try to, get in a parallel system if you have to, and build your own. Because at some point, that's all that matters, ownership. In a capitalistic system, only what you own and control matters. And these athletes at least need to own your damn labor. How you don't own your own labor? We got to get out of that exchanging time for labor, and move. I mean, even in the regular work situation, this model is unsustainable in this economy. As this economy falls apart, you're gonna have to go to more of a co-op model. Where employees have some ownership.
You just made me think of something real. Sorry to cut you off. But when you say that this model is not sustainable, is that why the league has been so inconsistent with expanding and then downsizing and expanding and downsizing? Is it the model itself? I mean, the model ain't even the same as the NBA's model. It's this piecemeal thing, and I think that may be what's hurting the overall sustainability of the growth, right? It's time to throw the whole damn model out, I think. And I think that's what FM is saying right here. Like, Chicago Sky is the example. Being in the room don't matter. Got to build your own separate room. Got to build your own room. What's going on from Russia? Building entire new rooms. You'll have full control. I can understand why some would say going into those existing rooms, but the compromise is continuing with with the same policy. Building is long-term better gains. Better gains. I got you. And the Negro baseball leagues are a great example on how they will attack parallel systems.
Yeah, but that attack at that time, you had a global situation that was different, and you didn't have the ability to get capital, from sources other than this white man like you do now. There's some other people with some deep pockets as well.
Did anybody hear about a $5 billion meeting LeBron had about launching a league? Anybody hear something about that?
Yeah, I heard about that.
Do y'all think he's gonna launch a league?
I do if they don't give him that Vegas team. I think he's going. He done spreaded his money into ownership. Especially over there in Europe. You got such a large talent pool that you can do another league. It does not have to be a monopoly. You can do another football league in the United States. You can do a parallel league. There's just that much talent, and there's a customer base. But their thinking is my product won't be unique if I have competition. Now, capitalism is supposed to be built on competition. Mm-hmm. But y'all spend all y'all time legalizing a way to eliminate any competition. This place don't even make sense. But, and you got rising economies like the continent of Africa, India, the rise of China. They're going to be, sports is going to come up with the politics, with the economics. And you're going to have leagues all over the place and opportunities to play all over the globe. That's what I think is going to happen. And we have to, at some point, get in on that ownership, with our expertise. He needs to do a league. I would support him doing a league.
It almost feels like Live Golf a little bit from what I was looking at. And it was like he was going to have male and female 5-on-5 teams. So it was interesting. I wondered how serious people thought he was about that. They were still talent with money. Oh yeah, hell yeah. They was like, what are we gonna do about the Negro Leagues? Get Jackie Robinson. They pulled Jackie Robinson, it was over. The Negro Leagues failed not long after that. Once they took Jackie, a couple more came. Satchel.
And all they wanted to do was play the competition. They put you in a situation where you couldn't even play against them teams unless it was some secret game. They could have kept the Negro leagues and the major league teams could have had them on the schedule. But they didn't want to do that. So, a guy came down there and said, shit, they packing these stadiums down here. I need to get that money and the money I'm already getting. And that's how
but the other thing was too, it would have been really cool. And this is where we talk about equity and agency and access. Why not just fold those teams into your league under their current ownership, right?
Exactly.
Fold them into your league under current ownership. They started stealing HBCU talent in the 1970s for schools with greater resources. I mean, go back and look at how many NFL players, for sure.
Especially out of Pittsburgh.
Out of HBCUs, man, in the early years. Goodness gracious.
Pittsburgh had a pipeline. It was getting all that talent out of HBCU. They had a pipeline when they had that dynasty. They had a lot of them players that came out them HBCUs.
Mm-hmm. So if we're going to talk real power in sports, we got to talk to ownership. Ownership means control. I know y'all get tired of hearing me say control, but it's control over your hiring decisions, marketing strategies, community engagement, the overall direction of the organization and the league. It creates the power to not just participate in the system, but now you can reshape it. You can build the pipelines we just talked about for Black women in leadership, decision-making roles for years to come. But you can't get there easy. Getting there ain't easy. Barriers to ownership, steep as hell. Capital gatekeeping keeps Black investors out. League resistance blocks independent or player-led models. Just go look at all the teams, all of the offers that have been denied by the WNBA here recently. Corporate sponsorship networks overwhelmingly back white-owned franchises. Most successful athletes, y'all, face an uphill battle to turn on-court dominance into ownership opportunities. Shout out to Asia's agent, whoever that is, because they didn't kept her. I think Asia went overseas one year. She was like, yeah, we're not doing that. No, get to the bread. So, candle company, foundation, all kind of stuff that she has going on. There are trailblazers showing what's possible. Serena and Venus invested in Angel City FC. Model for women-led sports ownership with strong equity mission. Renee Montgomery, former WNBA star, man, look, part owner, vice president of Atlanta Dream. Players can go from the court to the owner's suite. And these examples aren't just inspiring. These are the blueprints that we're talking about. Black women who could claim a bigger piece of the sports economy. Politically and economically, though, Lil, why is ownership the most transformative form of agency of sports, especially for the Black women?
Because ownership is transformative. It shifts the power from being a participant into being a decision maker. So when Black women own teams, brands, and leagues, they control the rules, the revenue, and the culture, rather than they're just depending on their individual labor. So it just opens, can of course create generational wealth, and that is the ultimate goal. But it opens pathways for other Black women. And then it challenges these historical structures that have profited off their labor without granting them even influence, let alone power. So ownership turns symbolic inclusion into real power. And that's the ultimate goal, real power.
So what's the systemic changes that got to happen for the women to get to the ownership?
You're going to need several structural shifts. First you got to have access to capital. That's got to include venture capital, private investment funding, and supportive financial networks, tailored to Black women. And that's why I think, we may wind up. I noticed that Angel went over to Dubai, and she got some things going over there. And I think that's what it's going to have to take. Then second, you need a mentorship and leadership pipeline. It has to be formalized so that you can prepare Black women for these executive roles and ownership roles. And I think you had spoke on that before. We don't have a pipeline or a training mechanism put in place for them to assume these leadership roles that we need. And then you just have to have transparency, in these league finances and equitable revenue sharing policy. And that must be enforced. You must prevent these gatekeepers from these entrenched power structures, And so I think only through collective action, and I'm hoping and praying that these young ladies in the CBA stay together, these unions, advocacy groups, fan advocacy groups like the one we're putting together, and other partnerships that can amplify the voice and influence of Black women. And that'll be a way to create a sustainable pathway to ownership, and systemic change, because it has to be a system change. It just can't be a onesie or twosies. We got to do this thing collectively.
Mm-hmm. It's about power and control. Money is even second. And MJ said, I think someone said it in the chat, but being ununified. So the owners with the most advantage can take advantage of their equity, which is another word for advantage over the other owners. Yeah, being ununified, definitely. They play on that too. And when we talk about shifting power in the dub, we can't leave out the role of the Players Association. Unions are supposed to be the players' strongest voice at the negotiating table. You got to ask who's leading and who's following. Are the voices of Black women, the majority of the league, being centered in decisions and contracts, benefits in the next CBA? Or are those voices being drowned out by broader agendas that don't directly address race and gender equities? So I think too often we see the contracts, the CBA votes, labor organizing, sidestep the very issues that define Black women's experience in the league, which is weird for me because they got a Black female president. But we'll get to that. While MLB, NBA, NFL players, unions have had, I think, moments of serious influence, sometimes forcing ownership to the table. WNBA structure still leaves Black women fighting to even get the basic protections. The this got to be some intentional development, or these gaps, these structural gaps are going to stay in place. So it brings us to a critical question of the leadership pipeline. Who's being prepared to step into roles as commissioners, chief negotiators, or agents? Are Black women in this league being groomed to lead the union, or are they only being called on to rally support when a vote is needed? Union power is only as strong as the diversity of the leadership. And right now, that's a fight that's still far from over. And when I'm looking at what's going on in Seattle, I'm not gonna hold y'all. I'm looking at what's going on in Seattle, and I'm like, how the hell is the WNBA Players Association president in the locker room, and we got all this craziness going on in the Seattle locker room? What the hell is that about?
Yeah, that was
crazy. Is that about distracting her from doing what I need her to do with the CBA, or what? I don't know. I'm happy that there are other players who are speaking out and speaking up. Elizabeth Williams, Kai Copper, and y'all know my favorite. Oh, Satu. What? Satu don't miss an opportunity to catch Kathy with one. You hear me? Do you hear me? She'll catch Kathy with a two every time they put a mic in front of her face. Okay? Well, we have to do this collectively because they are working collectively. Exactly. Check out the Kurt Flood story. Player ownership battle has been going on for decades. Okay. Check that one out. But Lil, how does the makeup of the WNBPA leadership and the way it prioritizes issues reflect, I guess, larger political dynamics about race and gender in labor movements?
The leadership often mirrors a broader labor trends where white men dominate the decision making, and the issues affecting Black women, may be sidelined. And so it highlights how race and gender shape whose concerns are prioritized, showing that representation alone isn't enough without real power to set the agenda. These women got to realize themselves they in a battle, it's going to affect their livelihood down the line. It can't be no half stepping. Everybody got to work together. You got to pull in the expertise and resources from among your body. You got to get everybody on board. I thought the T-shirt thing at the All-Star game was a good move, but you need to get the fans in them T-shirts.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, imagine walking into the Valkyrie Stadium and 18,000 people got to pay them women what they worth. T-shirt in. That's gonna send a message to the dudes in the suites that down in the streets we not playing.
I think they understand that. Exactly. I think that the ladies need to understand that just a T-shirt ain't gonna do it this time.
Mm-hmm.
Just a T-shirt ain't gonna do it this time. So we'll be reaching out and trying to figure out how we can support and help and figure out what is their next move. There's need to be some more moves coming, especially if you're saying that the first time they came back to you at the table, it was slapping the face. I mean, they basically told you they wouldn't give you nothing. We're about to turn the heat up. Fam, when you think about the WNBA's union leadership, do you believe it's actively building a future where Black women will lead the negotiations, or is it keeping the same power structure in place? Yeah. I want to know what y'all think about that. Let us know in the chat. MJ, I see you saying, so the next question is power stopping the collective? The dangerous thing is people with power but don't have money are more reckless trying to get to the money. But here's the thing: they got. If they would sit down and talk, they would realize that they got some money. It's how they use it and how they collectivize to get it done and partner. FM, I discuss Kurt Flood every semester. Challenge the Reserve Clause 1969. Kurt should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, if it wasn't for him, it wouldn't be no free agency. We'd still be on the plantation.
Okay.
And stuck to it.
Sacrifices have to be made now for the future players. I agree. I will be creating an assignment regarding the labor issue in the WNBA. Love to hear that. As we look forward, the question becomes, how do Black women in sports reclaim business and agency on our terms? Because there's some tangible paths to this, right? Community investment models put resources back where they belong into the neighborhoods and programs that nurture the next generation, the future players we're talking about. Athletes decentralized autonomous organizations, DAOs, give players direct control over decision making and profits. NIL pipelines built specifically for high school and college black girls. Create clear pathways for that grassroots talent to professional opportunity. A woman-led NIL collective. Ensure that black women retain ownership of their personal brand and financial power.
Yeah. Solidarity is the key. And across generations, from trailblazers like, Lisa and Cheryl Swoops to today's disruptors like Asia Wilson and Angel Reese. And across the league, you got to build a network so support multiplies the impact. So I'm hoping when we send our letter in, that they'll, consider us on board, and we're going to do everything we can, within this platform to try to support these women. Because when black women support black women, the rules start to bend in their favor. So, I hope they stick this one out. For the sake of the future of this league, they have got to stand firm on getting, paid from the revenues that they generate. And that's the biggest issue, beside these facilities that should be standard across the board. But that's probably something they could tackle through Title VII, because you should have a raggedy workplace over here and a fabulous workplace over there. That's ridiculous. And I blame the league for that, because the bottom line is you don't let people into the league, and that's something I'm seeing them do now. Don't let people in the league if they don't have a facility or the money to build one. You gotta stop people at something. Tell them no, we can't take your bid. You can't. You're not ready for.
You don't meet the standard.
Yeah, you don't meet the standard. They let Chicago get away 20 years without building a facility. That's absurd. But they wanted that media market, so they're willing to sacrifice them young ladies who had to play in that mess.
Bryce say, my guess is the WNBA union leadership will try to do within the structure that is currently in place. I don't think it's a good move. I just don't. I think he's saying trust ownership. Yeah, if they do what's in the current system, they're doomed. They're doomed. Yeah. But let's come back to our guiding question. Why aren't black WNBA players in every room where decisions are made? And who really benefits when black women are excluded? And what's the cost of waiting for inclusion instead of building power ourselves, dude?
The risk of waiting is losing control over your own story, your own brand, and your career trajectory. So the power is in building a table and the building and then claiming ownership. We have to have a call to action. We're here to support these black women owning sports brands and platforms. We're here to amplify their stories and explain the demands in the negotiation, because a lot of misinformation is being put out, and then you got to ask your favorite team, where the black women in leadership? We're with the whole front office, coming down here, white collar, choked up, and not a sister among them. Black women aren't going to keep asking for a seat. They're going to keep building these tables and getting the ownership to the deed, and these people going to look up in the WNBA, and we'll be talking about the history and not the present of that league.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, this wraps up our WNBA CBA Reckoning series. Appreciate y'all following along. But let me be clear, it's not the end of the conversation. We got letters going out to the WNBPA showing our support, to the American Bar Association asking them to back the WNBPA negotiators, and to the women of the Black Congressional Caucus demanding that they stop this legalized theft and call for transparency by opening the books. Now we need y'all, our audience, to join the Respect Our Game advocacy group. Use hashtag Respect Our Game in all your social media posts. Share your stories about WNBA players and make sure your voice is heard. Don't miss our upcoming special live panel discussion on how athletes are paid in sports. We'll break down all the WNBA revenue sources, go over the financials of the sports business, and show you exactly how to spot the lies when capitalists claim they're losing money while their investment partners are cashing in $250 million to join the so-called profitless party. We appreciate y'all tuning in. Let me see what we got. And they wanted Michael Jordan to invest in the Chicago franchise. Michael Jordan may not have been a good GM, but he knows when people are making bad decisions when he sees them. He's like, I'm not putting my money in that. Go ahead.
No, Dwayne just gave y'all $85 million. Y'all still ain't got a facility. What'd you do with that money?
Yeah, no, thank you. But y'all remember, thank y'all for tuning in. Remember, sports are never just about the games we play. They're about the stories we tell and the systems of injustice we expose. Y'all know who I am. Cess, your favorite non-tyrannical tendencies. Political Lil. Y'all stay tuned. Y'all talk soon. Y'all know what it is. We out.